Hello and welcome. In this video, we'll show you how to set up a complete document signing workflow using PDF Generator API forms and n8n. We'll walk through the entire process from start to finish. Preparing a template, building a form that collects a signature through our document viewer, and automating what happens afterward using n8n. As a practical example, we'll use a health and fitness consent form where a new client fills in their details, reviews the generated document, and signs it, all without leaving their browser. Once they've signed, their details are logged in a Google Sheets spreadsheet. The document is automatically emailed to them, posted to our team's Slack channel, and archived to Google Drive. Alongside all of this, the document is also saved to document storage for a defined retention period, keeping a full history of every version and action taken on it. Let's get started. The first thing we need is a template, since this defines the layout of the document our client will sign. In our case, we already have our consent form prepared as a PDF, so instead of building it from scratch in the editor, we'll import it directly. We head over to the Templates page. Click the arrow next to New Template and select Import from PDF. Our document appears as the background of a new template, ready for us to work with. From here, we could overlay dynamic components on top of it if we needed to, but we'll set up our field mapping a bit later, once we've created the form. For now, we'll just rename our template to something meaningful, like Health and Fitness Consent Form, since importing a PDF automatically assigns it a random name. With our template ready, the next step is to create the form that our clients will actually fill out. We navigate to the Forms page and click New Form. We'll give it a name for our own reference, for example, Health and Fitness Consent Form. And under Template, we select the consent form template we just imported and renamed. Next, we set the title that clients will see, along with an introduction, so they know exactly what to expect before they start. Now let's move on to the form actions, which control what happens the moment the form is submitted. First, we enable Store the Document, which saves the generated PDF to document storage. This has to be enabled before we can turn on the next action, Sign the Document, which is what activates our entire signing flow. Once this is on, submitting the form will take the client straight into the document viewer to review and sign, instead of just downloading a plain PDF. Finally, we also enable Send Data and Document to Third-Party Service. This sends the client's form data to an external URL as soon as they submit, which is exactly what allows our automation to pick up their details later on. For now, we'll just enter a placeholder URL here, since we'll replace it with our real n8n webhook address a bit later. With our basic settings and actions configured, it's time to add the form fields. For our consent form, we want to collect a few details: the client's full name, birth date, address, email, and phone number. Let's take a closer look at how one of these fields is set up, using first name as an example. We give it a label, which is the text the client will see above the field, in this case, simply first name. We choose the field type, and since we're collecting a name, we select text. We then assign a field name, which is the identifier we'll use to map this field to our template. And we mark it as required, since we don't want clients submitting the form without providing their first name. We'll go ahead and set up the rest of our fields the same way. Now that our fields are in place, we save the form. Then reopen it. Next to the Save button, we'll find a new option, Save and Edit Template. Clicking this takes us straight into the template editor. With all of our form fields already loaded in the sidebar under the Data Fields tab. Mapping a field to our template is as simple as dragging it from the Data Fields tab onto the canvas, right where we want the data to appear. We'll continue mapping all fields the same way. And here is our template, with every field mapped and lined up exactly where we want it. Now that our fields are mapped and aligned, there are two more things we'd like to add before we're done here. First, we head over to the Components tab and drag the signature component onto the canvas, positioning it below our consent terms. This is what tells the document viewer exactly where to place the client's signature once they've drawn it, so it appears right where we want it in the generated document. Next, we'd like the document to automatically display today's date as well, without asking the client to enter it themselves. To do this, we insert a text component and use our expression language to add the date function, which pulls in the current date at the moment the document is generated. With everything mapped and in place, we save our template, and our form and template are now fully connected and ready to go. The last piece of the puzzle is automating what happens after a document is signed. For this, we'll use n8n to connect PDF Generator API with Google Sheets, Gmail, Slack, and Google Drive. We've already built this workflow and published it as an official n8n template, which you'll find linked below this video. Let's quickly walk through what each part of this workflow does. The webhook node is our entry point. It receives a notification from PDF Generator API whenever the form is submitted or a document gets signed. From there, the Route by Action node checks what kind of event just came in and sends it down the right path. If it's a new form submission, the workflow saves the client's details as a new row in our Google Sheets spreadsheet. If the webhook comes in because a document was signed, the workflow finds that same row using the document's public ID and updates it to reflect that the client has signed. From there, we retrieve and optimize the signed PDF using the PDF Generator API node and send it out 3 ways at once: an email to the client, a notification to our team on Slack, and a permanent copy saved to Google Drive. Before we activate this workflow, we'll need a Google Sheets spreadsheet to store our client submissions in. We've already prepared one with column headers matching the fields in our form. Alongside these, we've also added a public ID column, which is what the workflow uses to link each submission to its signed document, along with signed and signed at, to keep a record of the signature status. To get the workflow running on your side, you'll need to connect your own credentials in each of the nodes. For the PDF Generator API node, you'll need your workspace identifier, which is simply your account email, along with your API key and secret, both of which you'll find under Settings, General in your PDF Generator API account. Once your credentials are connected, the last thing to set up is the webhook URL, so PDF Generator API knows where to send its notifications. Let's open the webhook node and copy its production URL. If we head back to our form, into the Form Actions section, and paste this URL into the callback URL field, replacing the placeholder we used earlier. This is what lets our workflow receive the client's data the moment they submit the form. Next, we go to Settings, Documents, where we'll find the Document Webhook field and paste the very same URL here as well. This second step is what notifies our workflow when a document gets signed, so both events, form submission and signing, are covered. With both URLs in place and our credentials connected, our workflow is ready to go. We activate the workflow and we're ready to see the whole thing in action. Let's copy our form's URL and open it up. We'll fill in our details as a new client would. And hit Submit. Right away, we're taken into the Document Viewer, where our consent form opens up for review, filled in with all the details we just provided, along with today's date automatically added. On the right, we can also see our first name, last name, and email have been pre-filled from the same data, ready for us to confirm. Before we confirm anything, let's quickly check our Google Sheets spreadsheet. A new row has already appeared with the details we just submitted, and signed is marked as false, exactly as expected. Back in the Document Viewer, we confirm that everything is correct and draw our signature. Switching back to our spreadsheet, we can see that same row has now been updated. Signed is marked as true, and we have a timestamp showing exactly when it happened. Checking our inbox, we've received our welcome email with the signed consent form attached. Over in Slack, our team channel has received a notification letting everyone know a new consent form has just been signed. And finally, in Google Drive, we can see our signed document has been saved and is ready for long-term safekeeping. Alongside all of this, our signed document has also been saved to document storage. You can define how long documents are retained there under Settings, Documents, anywhere from a single day up to the maximum allowed by your subscription plan. From document storage, you can also view the document's full history, including every version and every action taken on it along the way. And that's it. From a signed consent form to an automatically updated spreadsheet, a welcome email, a team notification, and a permanent backup, all without lifting a finger after the client hits submit. We hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you have any questions or need further assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help.